Commander Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Soul's Vengeance and stared at the message display. The holographic text floated in front of him, written in perfect human standard language. He had read it 12 times already. But the words still made no sense. "Sir, should we respond?" asked Da-eun from her position at the tactical station. The young officer kept glancing at the message, her dark eyes showing the same confusion that everyone on the bridge felt. Hyun-woo rubbed his tired face. The war had ended only 3 months ago. 3 months since the Centauri forces finally surrendered after 6 years of brutal fighting. 3 months since he had last slept without dreaming of burning ships and dying friends. The Soul's Vengeance still carried the scars of that war. Burn marks covered her hull like black tattoos. Her weapon systems worked, but barely. Half her crew was dead or wounded. Now this message had arrived from somewhere deep in galactic space. It claimed to be from something called the Deathworld Council. "Read it again, Woo-jin," Hyun-woo said to his chief engineer. Woo-jin cleared his throat and began reading from his station. To the human species of Earth and her colonies, the Deathworld Council extends an invitation to your race to attend a gathering at Nexus Prime. You will send representatives immediately. Do not delay. Do not refuse. Bring your ships as they are. Bring your people as they are. We wish to see your natural state. Coordinates follow. Natural state, Da-eun repeated. What does that even mean? Maybe they want us to come naked, said Lieutenant Tae-hyun from the communication station. A few crew members laughed, but the sound was hollow. Hyun-woo did not laugh. Something about this message worried him. The language was too perfect. The timing was too strange. Most alien species barely acknowledged that humans existed. Earth was a frontier world. Human colonies were small and weak compared to the great galactic civilizations. Why would anyone invite them to anything important? "Sir," said Da-eun, "I have been running searches on this Deathworld Council. There is almost nothing in our databases. A few mentions in old trading records, some rumors from deep space merchants, but nothing solid." "What kind of rumors?" Hyun-woo asked. Da-eun hesitated. "Strange ones, sir. Stories about species that eat their own young, beings that live in the hearts of stars, creatures that hunt starships for sport. The merchants who tell these stories, they get quiet when they talk about it, like they are afraid." Woo-jin looked up from his engineering console. "Sir, I have been thinking about something. This message came through hyperspace channels that are restricted to military use. Whoever sent this has access to high-level galactic communication systems. That means they have real power. Or they stole the codes," Tae-hyun added. "Maybe," said Woo-jin, "but look at how the message is written. It does not ask us to come. It tells us to come. That is not how you write to someone you think is weak." Hyun-woo walked to the main view screen. Outside, the stars looked the same as always, cold and distant. The war had taught him that space was full of enemies hiding behind friendly faces. But it had also taught him that sometimes the only way forward was through danger. "Da-eun, how long would it take us to reach these coordinates?" 3 weeks through hyperspace, sir. The location is deep in the galactic core region. That is controlled space. We would need diplomatic clearance to travel there." "What about our ship's condition?" Woo-jin answered. "We are flight-ready, but barely. The hull repairs are temporary. Our weapon systems work at 60% capacity. Life support is stable, but we have no backup systems. If something goes wrong out there, we will be in trouble." Hyun-woo nodded. The Soul's Vengeance was not the only human ship in bad condition. The entire human fleet was damaged. Earth's shipyards were working day and night to repair the vessels that had survived the war. Most of the newer, better ships had been destroyed in the final battles. "Sir," said Da-eun quietly, "maybe that is the point." "What do you mean?" "The message says to bring our ships as they are, to come in our natural state. Maybe they already know about the war. Maybe they know our ships are damaged. But why would they want to see us like this? Asked Tae-hyun. Da-un was quiet for a moment. I do not know. But I have been thinking about some of the intelligence reports from the last few months. Strange things have been happening near our colony worlds. Alien ships have been detected watching our planets from a distance. Trade ships have been avoiding our space routes. It is like other species are suddenly afraid of us. Afraid of us? Woo Jin laughed. We barely won the war. We lost half our fleet. Why would anyone be afraid of humans? Maybe because we did not lose, Da-un said. The Centauri had better ships, better weapons, more soldiers. Everyone thought they would crush us in 6 months. Instead, the war lasted 6 years, and we won. Hyunwoo thought about this. The war had been brutal. Human forces had been outnumbered in every battle. They had lost colonies, ships, and millions of people. But they had kept fighting. When human ships were destroyed, the crews would use the wreckage to build new weapons. When colonies were captured, human civilians would turn every building into a fortress. The enemy had called it madness. Human commanders had called it Tuesday. Sir, said Tae-hyun, we are receiving another message. From the Council? No, sir. From Earth Command. They want to know about the invitation. Apparently, every human colony received the same message at the same time. What are Earth Command's orders? Tae-hyun read from his screen. They want us to accept the invitation. Admiral Song says this could be an opportunity to establish diplomatic relations with powerful galactic species. She is assigning the Soul's Vengeance as the primary diplomatic vessel. Of course they are, Hyunwoo muttered. Send our most damaged ship to meet mysterious aliens. What could go wrong? But as he said it, Hyunwoo realized something. Maybe the Soul's Vengeance was exactly the right ship for this mission. She was scarred but not broken, damaged but still deadly. She looked like what she was, a survivor of a terrible war. Da-un, prepare a course for Nexus Prime. Woo Jin, I want damage reports on all systems before we jump to hyperspace. Tae-hyun, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we accept the invitation. Sir, said Da-un, should we bring an escort? Hyunwoo looked at his crew. They were young, tired, and scared. But they were also the kind of people who had fought a 6-year war against impossible odds and won. They were human. No escort, he said. If this Deathworld Council wants to see us in our natural state, then we go alone. Just us and our battle-scarred ship. As the Soul's Vengeance prepared to jump into hyperspace, none of the crew could imagine what they would find at Nexus Prime. They did not know they were about to meet the galaxy's most dangerous predator species. They did not know they were being evaluated as potential apex killers. All they knew was that someone in the deep dark of space wanted to meet the humans who had just won an impossible war, and that meeting would change everything. 3 weeks later, the Soul's Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace near Nexus Prime. Commander Hyun-woo stared at the view screen and felt his blood run cold. The planet before them was not like any world he had ever seen. Nexus Prime was massive, easily 3 times the size of Earth. Its surface glowed with rivers of molten rock. Violent storms raged across continents of black stone. Lightning flashed constantly through clouds that looked thick as metal. Sir, said Da-un from her station, I am reading gravity at 3 times Earth normal. Surface temperature varies between -40 and +60 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere would kill most species within minutes. And people live there? Asked Woo Jin. According to our sensors, yes. I am detecting massive cities built inside. The mountains, they appear to be carved directly into the rock. Hyunwoo watched as other ships moved around the planet. These were not like any vessels in human databases. One ship looked like it was made of living crystal. Another appeared to be constructed from the bones of some giant creature. A third ship seemed to be on fire, but the flames did not consume it. Incoming transmission, reported Tae-hyun. Put it through. A voice filled the bridge. It sounded like grinding stone mixed with breaking glass. Human vessel Soul's Vengeance. You will dock at Platform 7. You will come prepared for standard atmospheric conditions. Failure to adapt will result in death. The transmission ended. Standard atmospheric conditions, repeated Dayun. Sir, if their standard conditions match the planet's surface, we need full environmental suits. Get them ready, Hyunwoo ordered, and make sure our backup life support systems work. 2 hours later, the human delegation walked through the docking tube toward Platform 7. Their environmental suits felt heavy and awkward. The artificial gravity here was crushing. Each step required effort. I feel like I weigh 300 kilograms, muttered Woo Jin through his suit radio. Stay focused, Hyunwoo replied. Remember, we represent all of humanity here. The docking platform was huge and filled with beings that looked like nightmares. Near the entrance stood a creature made of living metal with 6 arms and no visible head. Beside it waited something that looked like a giant spider covered in scales. Further away, Hyunwoo saw a being that appeared to be made entirely of fire, but it was the atmosphere that truly shocked him. The air was thick and hot. Even through his suit's filters, he could smell sulfur and burning metal. The platform itself was made of some black stone that seemed to absorb light. Welcome, humans, said a voice behind them. They turned to see a crystalline being approaching. It stood nearly 3 meters tall and seemed to be made of blue-white stone that pulsed with inner light. When it moved, small pieces of crystal fell from its body like snow. I am Vorthak, speaker for the Deathworld Council. You will follow me. As they walked through the corridors of the station, Vorthak began to explain. You have been invited here because your species shows promise. The Council governs only the strongest races in the galaxy. We do not waste time with weak civilizations. What makes a civilization strong? Asked Hyunwoo. Survival, Vorthak replied. Only species from Deathworlds may join the Council. Only those who have conquered their home planets through violence and adaptation. They entered a massive chamber carved from the same black stone as the platform. The room was filled with creatures that defied description. Some looked like living rocks. Others resembled predatory plants. A few appeared to be made of energy rather than matter. Behold the Deathworld Council, said Vorthak. 147 species, all survivors, all killers, all proven. Hyunwoo looked around the chamber. Despite the variety of forms, he noticed something. These beings all carried themselves like soldiers. They moved like predators. Their attention was always focused, always alert. The Council operates on a simple hierarchy, Vorthak continued. At the bottom are species from merely dangerous worlds. They are granted basic membership. Above them are species from truly hostile environments. They hold greater voting power. And at the top? Asked Daun. The apex predators, said a new voice. The humans turned to see a massive creature approaching. It stood 4 meters tall and looked like a cross between a bear and a tank. Its hide was covered in natural armor plates. Its claws could have torn through steel. I am HFY of the Molten Plains, the creature growled. My people are one of only 4 apex predator races on the Council. We alone make the final decisions. Vorthak gestured toward different sections of the chamber. The HFY evolved. On a world of constant volcanic activity, the Zephyrians come from a planet where the wind can cut through stone. The Molthar survived on a world where the very air was poison. What about the 4th race? Asked Woo Jin. The Vextai, said HFY. They come from a world where gravity changes without warning, where mountains fall like rain. They are difficult. As if summoned by his words, something moved in the shadows at the far end of the chamber. The humans could not see it clearly, but they felt its attention like a physical weight. Why were we invited here? Hyunwoo asked. Vorthak, and Krexhai exchanged what might have been glances. "Because of reports we have received," Vorthak said finally. "Reports about your recent war." "What kind of reports?" "Disturbing ones," said Krexhai. "Stories that strain belief. Tales of humans doing things that should be impossible." Da-Un stepped forward. "Such as fighting for 6 years against superior forces and winning," said Vorthak. "Using destroyed ships as weapons, turning wounded soldiers into tactical advantages, converting civilian populations into military assets overnight. These are not the actions of a normal species," added Krexhai. "Normal species surrender when they are outmatched. Normal species seek peace when war becomes too costly. You did neither." Hyunwoo felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's atmosphere. "You have been watching us." "Of course," said Vorthak. "When reports began reaching us about human behavior during your war, the Council became interested, very interested." "We sent observers," said Krexhai. "They watched your battles. They studied your tactics. They saw things that concerned them." "What?" "Things," asked Taehyun. "Humans who continued fighting after suffering injuries that should have killed them," Vorthak replied. "Ships that were rebuilt during combat using nothing but wreckage and determination. Colonies that became more dangerous after being attacked rather than weaker." Krexhai leaned closer to the humans. Even through their environmental suits, they could feel the heat radiating from his body. "Most species fight to survive. You fight to make your enemies afraid of fighting you. That is not survival behavior. That is apex predator behavior." "Which brings us to why you are here," said Vorthak. "The Council wishes to determine if humanity qualifies for apex predator status. If you do, you will join the 4 races that govern galactic civilization. If you do not—" The crystalline being did not finish the sentence, but the implication was clear. "How do we prove ourselves?" asked Hyunwoo. 3 tests, said Krexhai. "First, you must demonstrate that your homeworld truly qualifies as a Deathworld. Second, you must prove that your species possesses apex predator characteristics. Third, you must show that you can function at the level required for Council leadership. And, if we fail," Vorthak's crystalline body pulsed with brighter light, "then humanity will be classified as a minor species and restricted to your current territory. You will never expand beyond your present borders. You will never threaten the established order." The chamber fell silent except for the sound of alien breathing and the distant rumble of the planet's volcanic activity. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. Daeyeon stood straight despite the crushing gravity. Woo Jin was already analyzing the alien technology around them. Taehyun was recording everything for later analysis. They were tired. They were scared. They were far from home on a world that wanted to kill them. They were human. "When do we begin?" Hyunwoo asked. The test of origin began the next day in a chamber deep beneath Nexus Prime's surface. The room was shaped like a giant sphere, its walls covered in displays that could show images from across the galaxy. Council members filled floating platforms, arranged in circles around the central speaking area. Commander Hyunwoo stood with his crew in the center of the sphere. The crushing gravity made every movement difficult, but they had learned to manage it. Beside them waited their newest team member, Jun Ho, a xenobiologist who had been rushed to Nexus Prime on a fast courier ship. "Begin the presentation," ordered Vorthak from his platform high above. Jun Ho stepped forward. Despite being the youngest member of their group, he showed no fear. His voice carried clearly through the chamber as he began to speak. "Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago. From the beginning, it was a world of violence." The displays around the chamber came alive with images of early Earth. Molten rock covered the surface. Asteroids crashed into the planet like bombs. The atmosphere was poison. For the first billion years, nothing could live on our world. The air would kill any life we know today. The oceans were acid. Volcanoes covered the continents. Some council members shifted on their platforms. A few made sounds that might have been approval. Junho continued. When life finally appeared, Earth immediately began trying to kill it. Every few million years, something would happen to destroy most living things. Asteroid impacts, ice ages that froze the entire planet, volcanoes that poisoned the sky for thousands of years. "This is common," growled HFY from his platform. "Many worlds go through such periods." "Yes," said Junho, "but Earth never stopped. In the last 500 million years, our planet has suffered 5 major extinction events. Each one killed most of the life that existed, but each time life came back stronger. New images appeared on the displays. Massive creatures with teeth like swords, flying reptiles the size of aircraft, sharks that could bite through steel. Earth's life forms became weapons," Junho explained. "Predators evolved to be perfect killing machines. Prey animals developed, defenses that could stop bullets. Plants created poisons that could kill in seconds." "And where were humans during this time?" asked a voice from the shadows. The HFY representative, still hidden from clear view. "We did not exist yet," Junho replied. "But our ancestors were there, small mammals hiding from giant predators. They survived by being smart, fast, and adaptable." The displays showed the ice ages that followed. Massive sheets of ice covered most of Earth. Temperatures dropped so low that the oceans nearly froze solid. During the ice ages, most large life forms died, but our ancestors survived. They learned to use tools. They learned to hunt in groups. They learned to use fire. "Fire," repeated Vorthak. "You mastered one of the fundamental forces while still primitive." "Yes. And when the ice finally melted, humans emerged. But Earth was not finished testing us. New images showed human civilizations rising and falling, floods that destroyed entire regions, diseases that killed millions, volcanoes that buried cities. Every time humans built something, Earth would try to destroy it. So we learned to build better, stronger. We learned to predict disasters and prepare for them. We learned to survive anything our world could throw at us." Da Yun stepped forward. "But that is not the most important part." The council turned their attention to her. "Explain," ordered HFY. "Other species adapt to their environment," Da Yun said. "Humans do something different. We adapt our environment to us." The displays changed to show modern Earth, cities that reached into the sky, dams that controlled rivers, farms that covered continents. "We did not just survive Earth's predators," Da-Un continued. "We domesticated them. We turned wolves into dogs that help us hunt. We turned wild plants into crops that feed us. We took the most dangerous creatures on our world and made them work for us." Murmurs ran through the council chambers. This was clearly something new to many of them. "But even that is not the strangest thing about humans," added Wu Jin. "Continue," said the HFY voice. "We seek out danger for fun," Wu Jin said simply. The chamber fell silent. "Humans climb mountains for no reason except to prove they can. We dive into deep oceans just to see what is there. We jump out of aircraft with nothing but cloth to slow our fall. We race vehicles at speeds that should kill us. We do these things not because we must, but because we enjoy it." "That is impossible," said HFY. "No species seeks danger without purpose." "Humans do," said Hyun-woo. "We call it recreation. We teach our children to take risks. We celebrate those who face the greatest dangers." The displays showed images of human extreme sports: mountain climbing, deep sea diving, motor racing, skydiving. Council members watched in what seemed like shock. "You deliberately expose yourselves to deadly situations for pleasure?" asked Vorthak. "Yes," replied Hyun-woo. "We believe it makes us stronger." "This explains much about your war behavior," said the HFY voice. You did not fight like beings trying to survive. You fought like beings who enjoyed the challenge. Before anyone could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the chamber. Emergency lights flashed. A mechanical voice announced something in the Council's common language. What is happening? Asked Da-Un. Vorthak's crystalline body blazed with bright light. Containment breach in the Museum of Ultimate Predators. All beings must evacuate immediately. Council members began fleeing their platforms. Some teleported away, others flew toward the exits. A few simply vanished. But the humans did not run. Wu Jin, what kind of containment breach? Asked Hyun Woo. According to the displays, something has broken out of the museum's collection, multiple specimens. They are loose in the station. How many civilians need evacuation? Asked Da-Un. Unknown. The museum is in the civilian sector. Hyun Woo made his decision in seconds. Tae-hyun, find the station's emergency command center. Coordinate evacuations. Jun-ho, analyze whatever creatures are loose. Find their weaknesses. Dae-yun, Woo-jin, with me. We are going to contain this breach. Sir, said Woo-jin, we do not know what these creatures are capable of. Then we will find out, replied Hyun-woo. As the humans moved toward the emergency exits, they passed Krexhai's platform. The massive alien stood perfectly still, watching. Them. Where are you going? He demanded. To help, said Hyun-woo. This is not your responsibility. You are guests here. Hyun-woo looked up at the alien warrior. People are in danger. That makes it our responsibility. The humans left the chamber running toward the crisis. Behind them, Krexhai spoke quietly to Vorthak. They do not flee from unknown predators, he said. They run toward them. Yes, replied Vorthak. This is either proof of their apex status or proof that they are completely insane. With humans, said the Vextai voice from the shadows. Those might be the same thing. In the corridors above, the humans were already organizing their response to the crisis. They moved like a unit that had fought together for years. Each knew their role without being told. They did not know that the Council was watching every move they made. They did not know that this crisis would become part of their evaluation. All they knew was that people needed help, and helping people was what humans did best. The crisis in the Museum of Ultimate Predators lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 3 of the galaxy's most dangerous creatures were back in containment. The human team had managed to evacuate 2,000 civilians and coordinate with station security to recapture the escaped specimens. More importantly, they had done it all while treating the situation as routine. Now, 12 hours later, the Council gathered in a different chamber. This one was smaller and less formal. The gravity was still crushing and the air still burned. But the atmosphere felt different. Less like a trial, more like a conversation. Commander Hyun-woo sat with his team around a table made of the same black stone as everything else on Nexus Prime. Across from them sat Krexhai, Vorthak, and for the first time, a visible representative of the Vextai. The Vextai looked like a human nightmare. It stood 3 meters tall but seemed to bend and shift constantly, as if gravity affected it differently from moment to moment. Its skin was silver and seemed to flow like liquid metal. When it spoke, its voice came from everywhere at once. "Tell us about your war," the Vextai said. Hyun-woo looked at his crew. They had talked about this moment during the crisis response. They had agreed on what to share and what to keep private. "What do you want to know?" he asked. "Everything," said Krexhai. "We have reports, but we want to hear your version. Start from the beginning." Da-Un spoke first. "The Centauri Federation contacted us 6 years ago. They claimed that human colonies were expanding too fast into disputed territory. They demanded that we abandon 12 of our newest settlements." "Didao." "You comply?" asked Vorthak. "We offered to negotiate borders," said Hyun-woo. They responded by attacking 3 colonies without warning, civilian targets, No military value. They killed 60,000 people in the first day. What was your response? Asked the vexed Tai. We declared war, said Da-un simply. Even though they outnumbered you 50-1? Asked Krexhai. Yes. Even though their technology was superior to yours? Yes. Even though any reasonable analysis showed you could not win? Yes, said Hyun-woo. They killed our people. That made it personal. Krexhai leaned back in his chair. Personal. Explain. This concept, Taehyun answered. When someone attacks your family, you do not calculate odds. You do not consider resources. You fight until either they are dead or you are dead. But entire colonies are not family, said Vorthak. To humans, they are, said Junho. Every human colony is an extension of Earth. Every colonist is our brother or sister. Attack one of us. You attack all of us. The alien representatives exchanged glances. The vexed Tai's form shifted and flowed. Tell us about specific battles, it said. Wu Jin pulled up a holographic display. The siege of Proxima Station. Centauri forces surrounded our main supply depot with a fleet of 200 ships. We had 12 ships defending it. You were overwhelmed, observed Krexhai. We were outnumbered, corrected Wu Jin. There is a difference. The station held for 8 months. How? We changed the rules, said Da-un. Normal military doctrine says you defend fixed positions with fixed resources. We treated everything as a resource. When our ships were damaged, we used the wreckage to build new weapons. When our people were wounded, we gave them jobs they could do while healing. When our supplies ran low, we learned to make new supplies from things the enemy threw away. The holographic display showed the battle. Human ships that looked more like flying scrap heaps than military vessels. Weapons built from pieces of destroyed spacecraft. Defensive positions that seemed to grow, larger over time instead of smaller. The enemy kept attacking the same way, Wu Jin continued. They would destroy our defenses, then move in to occupy the station. But every time they destroyed something, we would rebuild it better. Every time they hurt our people, those people would find new ways to hurt them back. After 8 months, the Centauri fleet retreated, said Da-yun. They said fighting humans was like trying to destroy a cancer. The more damage they did, the stronger we became. Show us the battle of the debris field, said the vexed Tai. Wu Jin. Change the display. The new image showed a region of space filled with the wreckage of destroyed ships. Hundreds of vessels from both sides floated dead in the void. This was the largest battle of the war, Wu Jin explained. 300 Centauri ships against 60 human vessels. The battle lasted 16 hours. By the end, most ships on both sides were destroyed or damaged beyond repair. A mutual defeat, said Vorthak. No, said Wu Jin. A human victory. The aliens looked confused. Explain, ordered Krexhai. The Centauri saw destroyed ships as losses, Wu Jin said. We saw them as resources. During the battle, our crews were already planning how to use the wreckage. While fighting was still happening, human engineers were cutting pieces off dead ships and welding them onto living ones. The display showed human vessels that seemed to grow during combat. Ships that started the battle as sleek military craft ended as bizarre combinations of multiple vessels welded together. By the end of the battle, we had 12 functional ships, built from the parts of destroyed ones. The enemy had nothing that could fly. You rebuilt your fleet during combat? Asked the vexed Tai. Yes, we had prepared for it. Every human ship carried cutting tools and welding equipment. Every crew member was trained in basic engineering. We expected our ships to be destroyed, so we planned for what to do afterward. This is not normal military thinking, said Krexhai. No, agreed Hyun-woo. Normal military thinking assumes you want to preserve your equipment. Human thinking assumes equipment is temporary. People are what matter. Tell us about the civilians, said Vorthak. The mood in the chamber changed. The humans became very quiet. What about them? Asked Daun carefully. Our reports say that human civilian populations became more dangerous after being attacked, not less dangerous. Explain this. Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. When the Centauri occupied human colonies, they expected the civilians to surrender. Most species do that. Civilians are not soldiers. But human civilians did not surrender? No. They became soldiers. The display showed images of human colonies under occupation. Every building had become a fortress. Every street was a battlefield. Children as young as 10 were carrying weapons and setting traps. The Centauri discovered that conquering a human colony was easy, said Tae-hyun. Holding it was impossible. Human civilians would turn every house into a weapons factory. Every school became a training center. Every shop became a supply depot. They turned their children into soldiers? Asked Vorthak. They turned their children into survivors, corrected Hyunwoo. Human parents teach their children that freedom is worth fighting for. When someone tries to take that freedom away, the children fight. This is why the war lasted 6 years, said Daun. The Centauri could win battles, but they could never win territory. Every world they captured cost them more resources to hold than it was worth. Eventually, they realized they were not fighting an army, said Woo Jin. They were fighting an entire species. Every human they killed made the rest fight harder. Every colony they destroyed made the survivors more determined. So they surrendered, said Tae-hyun. To a species they outnumbered 50-1, added Da-eun. To a species with inferior technology, said Jun-ho. To a species that should have been defeated in 6 months, finished Hyun-woo. The chamber was quiet except for the distant rumble of Nexus Prime's volcanic activity. Finally, the Vextai spoke. You fight wars like apex predators, but you protect your young like prey animals. This combination should not be possible. Why not? Asked Hyun-woo. Apex predators sacrifice the weak to preserve the strong. Prey animals sacrifice the strong to preserve the weak. You do both simultaneously. Maybe that is what makes humans different, said Da-eun. Krexhai stood up from the table. His massive form seemed to fill half the chamber. The council will discuss what we have learned. You will remain on Nexus Prime while we deliberate. How long will that take? Asked Hyun-woo. As long as necessary, replied Vorthak. As the aliens left the chamber, the humans sat alone in the crushing gravity and poisonous air of Nexus Prime. Do you think we passed? Asked Tae-hyun. I think, said Hyun-woo, that we scared them. Good, said Da-eun. People should be scared of humans. We earned that fear. Outside the chamber, Krexhai walked beside Vorthak toward the council's private meeting room. What do you think? Asked Vorthak. I think, said Krexhai slowly, that we may have found something more dangerous than apex predators. What is more dangerous than an apex predator? Apex predators that refuse to act like apex. Predators, replied Krexhai. Apex predators that protect their weak instead of abandoning them. Apex predators that turn defeat into victory by redefining what victory means. Are you saying they qualify for apex status? Krexhai stopped walking. I am saying they may be beyond apex status. I am saying they may be something we have never seen before. Behind them, the Vextai's voice whispered from the shadows. Something new is always the most dangerous thing in the universe. 3 days passed before the council reached their decision. During that time, the humans explored Nexus Prime's cities and learned more about the species that called this hostile world home. They visited markets where beings traded in weapons and survival gear. They watched gladiatorial contests where creatures fought to prove their worthiness. They studied museums filled with artifacts from civilizations that had failed the test of survival. Everywhere they went, the humans drew attention. Other species would stop and stare. Some seemed curious. Others appeared frightened. A few looked hungry. On the fourth day, they were summoned back to the council chamber. "We have reached a decision," announced Vorthak, as the humans took their places in the center of the sphere. Around them, the full council had assembled. 147 species from the galaxy's most dangerous worlds. The air hummed with tension. "Your species shows characteristics consistent with apex predator status," continued Vorthak. "However, the current apex races have the right to challenge any new applicants." Commander Hyun-woo felt his stomach drop. "Challenge how?" Krexhai rose from his platform. "Single combat. Each apex race will select a champion. You will select a champion. The last being standing wins. And if we lose, humanity will be classified as a minor species and confined to your current territory forever," said the Vextai from the shadows. Hyun-woo looked at his crew. Da-eun was tough, but she weighed maybe 60 kilograms. Woo-jin was brilliant with machines, but he was no warrior. Tae-hyun was quick and smart, but he had never fought anything larger than another human. Jun-ho was a scientist, not a soldier. Against the apex predators of 4 different death worlds, any human champion would be slaughtered. "We decline," said Hyun-woo. The chamber erupted in noise. Angry roars and clicking sounds filled the air. Several council members left their platforms and moved closer to the humans. "You cannot decline," growled Krexhai. "This is how apex status is determined. This is how it has always been done." "Then maybe it is time to change how things are done," replied Da-eun. "Explain," demanded Vorthak. Hyun-woo stepped forward. "You want to test us in single combat against your strongest individuals, but that is not how humans fight. That is not what makes us dangerous." "How do humans fight?" asked the Vextai. "Together," said Woo-jin. "As a team," added Tae-hyun. "Using everything available to us," finished Jun-ho. "You cannot change the trial to suit your weaknesses," said Krexhai. "We are not asking to change the trial," said Hyun-woo. "We are proposing a different kind of trial, one that better demonstrates what apex predators actually do." "Which is what?" asked Vorthak. "Solve impossible problems," said Da-eun. The chamber fell quiet. The humans could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching them. "Explain your proposal," said the Vextai finally. Hyun-woo took a deep breath. "You said the council governs galactic civilization. That means you face problems that require apex predator thinking to solve. Give us 3 of your most impossible problems. If we can solve them, that proves we belong here better than any combat trial. And if you fail, same penalty. Humanity gets classified as a minor species." The council members began discussing among themselves in dozens of different languages. The noise was deafening. Some seemed to be arguing. Others appeared to be laughing. Finally, Vorthak called for silence. "The council accepts your proposal," he announced. "But understand this. The problems we will give you have stymied the greatest minds in the galaxy for centuries. Many species have tried and failed to solve them. Some were destroyed in the attempt. We some understand," said Hyun-woo. "Very well. Your first challenge. Pacify the Berserker Nebula." A new display appeared showing a region of space that looked like a cosmic wound. Clouds of gas and dust swirled in violent patterns. Lightning arced between the particles. Even on the display, it looked angry. "The Berserker Nebula sits at the junction of 3 major trade routes," explained Vorthak. "Any ship that enters it suffers immediate system failures. The cosmic radiation causes all technology to malfunction violently. Ships explode. Navigation fails. Communication is impossible." "How? Many ships have been lost?" asked Woo-jin. "Over 3,000 in the last century alone," replied Krexhai. "The nebula makes those trade routes unusable. It costs the galactic economy billions of credits every year." "What have other species tried?" asked Da-eun. "Everything," said the Vextai. "Shielding, hardened electronics, remote drones, teleportation. Nothing works. The radiation affects technology in ways we do not understand. We will need detailed scans of the nebula, said Wu Jin. Complete spectral analysis, samples of the gas and dust, technical specifications of failed ships. Agreed, said Vorthak. You have 72 hours. The humans spent the next 3 days studying the Berserker Nebula data. They worked in shifts, barely sleeping, consuming the terrible food that Nexus Prime offered, and breathing the burning air that would kill most species. On the 3rd day, they requested permission to take the soul's vengeance into the nebula. That is suicide, said Krexhai. Maybe, said Wu Jin, or maybe it is the solution. 6 hours later, the Council watched on long-range sensors as the soul's vengeance approached the edge of the Berserker Nebula. The human ship looked even more battered than usual. Its hull had been stripped of most external components. Strange new devices covered its surface. Soul's vengeance to Nexus Prime, came Daun's voice over the communication system. Beginning entry into the nebula. The ship disappeared into the swirling clouds of radiation and gas. For 30 minutes, there was silence. The Council's sensors could detect nothing inside the nebula. Then suddenly, the soul's vengeance emerged from the other side of the nebula. Intact, functional, unharmed. Nexus Prime, this is Soul's Vengeance, reported Tae-hyun's voice. Transit complete, all systems functioning normally. Impossible, whispered Krexhai. Soul's Vengeance, report your status, ordered Vorthak. All systems green, came Wu Jin's voice. Transit time through the nebula was 28 minutes. We have established a stable corridor through the radiation field. How did you do it? Demanded the vexed Tai. Yunwoo's voice answered. We stopped trying to fight the radiation. Instead, we designed our systems to use the malfunction as a feature. Our navigation computers now work by controlled failure. Our engines run on systematic breakdown. Our life support operates through organized chaos. You turned malfunction into function, said Vorthak slowly. Yes. The nebula does not destroy technology. It changes technology. We learn to change with it. The Council was silent for a long moment. That is one problem solved, said Krexhai finally. You have 2 challenges remaining. What is the second problem? Asked Daun. A new display appeared. It showed 2 star systems locked in what appeared to be eternal war. Massive fleets battled constantly. Entire worlds had been turned to ash. The Hive War, said Vorthak. 2 collective species have been fighting for 1,000 years. The Zix Collective and the Moor Unity. Both are hive minds. Both consider the other an abomination. Neither will consider peace. What have they been fighting about? Asked Junho. Territory. Resources. The right to exist. It no longer matters. They fight because fighting is all they know. Diplomatic contact has been attempted, added the vexed Tai. Both sides consider individual minds to be inferior. They will not negotiate with non-collective species. How do we solve this? Asked Tae-hyun. That, said Krexhai, is for you to determine. You have 72 hours. The humans looked at each other. 2 hive minds locked in eternal war. Species that considered individual thought to be primitive. And wrong. We will need to speak with both sides, said Hyunwoo. That may be fatal, warned Vorthak. They kill individual minds on sight. Then we will have to be very convincing, replied Da-yoon. As the humans left the council chamber to begin their second challenge, they did not see the look that passed between Krexhai and the vexed Tai. They are going to get themselves killed, said Krexhai. Probably, agreed the vexed Tai. But if they succeed, they will have accomplished something that has been impossible for 1,000 years. Yes, said the vexed Tai. That would definitely qualify as apex predator behavior. 71 hours later, the impossible happened. The 1,000-year war between the Zix Collective and the Moor Unity ended not with victory or defeat, but with both hive minds working together on the largest construction project in galactic history. Commander. Hyunwoo stood before the council and explained how they had done it. "We did not try to make peace between them," he said. "Instead, we gave them something more interesting than fighting each other." "Which was what?" asked Vorthak. "A rogue planet," replied Da-un, "a world-sized mass of dark matter that was drifting toward both of their systems. If left alone, it would destroy everything they had been fighting over." "You found a bigger enemy," said Krexhai with what might have been admiration. "We found a bigger project," corrected Wu Jin. "Something that required both hive minds working together to solve. They are no longer fighting each other. They are fighting physics. The rogue planet will take 50 years to dismantle safely," added Tae-hyun. "By then, both collectives will be so used to working together that war between them will seem pointless." The council chamber was filled with murmurs of amazement. Even the Vextai seemed impressed, its form shifting more rapidly than usual. "That is 2 impossible problems solved," said Vorthak. "You have 1 challenge remaining." "What is the 3rd problem?" asked Junho. The display changed to show a world that looked like paradise. Green continents covered with forests, blue oceans that sparkled in perfect sunlight, white clouds that drifted peacefully across clear skies. "Sanctuary," said the Vextai. "The most beautiful planet in the galaxy. Perfect climate, rich soil, no dangerous predators, no natural disasters, no diseases. It is absolutely perfect for any form of life." "What is the problem?" asked Hyunwoo. "Every species that has tried to colonize Sanctuary has failed," said Krexhai. "Some become weak and lazy within a few generations. Others go insane from boredom. A few destroy the planet trying to make it more interesting. No civilization has ever succeeded in making Sanctuary their permanent home." "You want us to colonize a perfect world?" asked Da-un. "We want you to prove that humans can succeed where everyone else has failed," said Vorthak. "You have unlimited resources. You can take as many colonists as you need. You have complete freedom to organize the colony however you choose." "What is the time limit?" asked Wu Jin. 1 year, said the Vextai. "If the human colony on Sanctuary is thriving after 1 year, you will have passed all 3 challenges. And if we fail, then humanity joins the list of species that could not handle paradise," said Krexhai, "and you are forever classified as a minor race." The humans looked at each other. A perfect world should be easy to colonize. The fact that every other species had failed meant there was something they were missing. "We accept the challenge," said Hyunwoo. 3 weeks later, the first human transport ships arrived at Sanctuary. The world was everything the council had promised. The air was clean and sweet. The gravity was comfortable. The temperature was perfect. Rivers of fresh water flowed through valleys filled with fruit trees. It should have been heaven. The first colonists were carefully chosen. Farmers, engineers, teachers, doctors, families with children, people who wanted to build a new life on a beautiful world. Within 6 months, half of them were begging to go home. "I do not understand it," said colony leader Minho during a video conference with the Soul's Vengeance. "Everything here is perfect, too perfect. There is no challenge, no struggle, no reason to grow or change or become better." "What about the children?" asked Da-un. "That is the worst part," replied Minho. "The children are becoming soft. They have no dangers to overcome, no problems to solve. They are losing the edge that makes them human." Commander Hyunwoo stared at the reports from Sanctuary. Crime was up. Productivity was down. People were fighting each other out of boredom. Some colonists had started trying to create artificial dangers just to feel alive. "Sir," said Wu Jin, "I think I understand the problem." "Explain." "Humans are not designed for paradise. We are designed for struggle. Take away the struggle, and we start to break down." "So what do we do?" asked Taehyun. We cannot fail this test. Hyun-woo was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly, he began to smile. We do not try to live in paradise, he said finally. We turn paradise into something humans can actually use. What do you mean? Asked Junho. We terraform it. Sir, Sanctuary does not need terraforming. It is already perfect. Perfect for weak species, said Hyun-woo. Not perfect for humans. Over the next 6 months, Sanctuary changed. The humans did not destroy the paradise. Instead, they turned it into the ultimate training ground. Dangerous obstacle courses appeared in the forests. Survival challenges were built into the mountains. The colonists divided into teams and competed in elaborate games that tested every skill humans needed to survive in hostile environments. Children who had been growing soft and lazy suddenly became sharp and focused. They learned to climb cliffs, navigate mazes, and solve complex problems under pressure. Adults who had been fighting each other out of boredom now worked together to create new challenges for their neighbors. The paradise world became a crucible for forging stronger humans. This is incredible, said Min-ho during his final report to the council. The colonists are not just surviving on Sanctuary. They are thriving. But more importantly, they are preparing for the day when they will leave this world and face real dangers among the stars. You are training your children to leave paradise? Asked Vorthak. We are training our children to succeed anywhere, replied Hyun-woo. Sanctuary is not our home. It is our school, a place where humans can safely learn to overcome any challenge the galaxy might throw at them. The council chamber was silent as they processed this information. You turned a perfect world into an imperfect one, said Krexhai slowly. We turned a useless world into a useful one, corrected Da-un. Other species tried to live in paradise, said Wu-jin. We used paradise to create better versions of ourselves. The Vextai's form shifted and flowed more rapidly than ever before. You do not adapt to environments. You adapt environments to serve your purposes. Yes, said Hyun-woo simply. Even perfect environments. Especially perfect environments, said Tae-hyun. Perfect environments do not teach anything useful. Imperfect environments make you stronger. Vorthak's crystalline body blazed with brilliant light. The council must deliberate on what we have witnessed. How long will that take? Asked Junho. Not long, said Krexhai. What you have accomplished is unprecedented. 2 hours later, the council reconvened. The humans stood in the center of the great chamber, surrounded by the representatives of 147 Deathworld species. In the history of the Deathworld Council, announced Vorthak, no species has ever solved all 3 impossible problems. Most fail at the first challenge. A few have managed to solve 1 or 2. None have succeeded at all 3. Until now, added the Vextai. The council has reached a unanimous decision, said Krexhai. Humanity has demonstrated abilities that go beyond normal apex predator status. What do you mean? Asked Hyun-woo. Apex predators dominate their environments, explained Vorthak. You do something different. You transform environments to create more effective versions of your own species. You are not just apex predators, said the Vextai. You are apex adapters. You take any situation and make it serve your purposes. The council hereby creates a new classification, announced Krexhai. Omega tier, above apex predator level, reserved for species that other apex predators look to for guidance and leadership. Humanity is the first and only Omega tier species in galactic history, said Vorthak. You will not just join the Deathworld Council. You will lead it. The chamber erupted in sounds of approval from dozens of different species. Roars, clicks, whistles, and noises that had no human equivalent filled the air. But Commander Hyun-woo felt no satisfaction, only a grim understanding of what this meant. This is not an honor, he said quietly to his crew. This is a responsibility. They are telling us that when the galaxy faces its worst problems, they will expect humans to solve them. Good, said Da-Un. Solving impossible problems is what humans do best. But this also means, added Wu Jin, that humanity is now officially the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Every other race will be watching us, some with respect, others with fear. Let them watch, said Tae-hyun. We earned this position, as... The ceremony continued around them. Hyun-woo thought about the message he would have to send to Earth. The human race had just been recognized as the ultimate survivor species. Every colony world would need to prepare for the responsibilities that came with that recognition. Humanity had not joined galactic civilization. Galactic civilization had just learned that it needed to adapt to humanity. The war against the Centauri had been just the beginning. Now came the real challenge, proving that humans could lead without becoming the very thing they had fought against. As the Soul's Vengeance prepared to depart Nexus Prime, Commander Hyun-woo stood on the bridge and looked at the stars. Somewhere, out there, human colonies were receiving the news of their new status. Children were being born who would grow up knowing that their species was considered the galaxy's ultimate problem solvers. It was a heavy burden to carry. But then again, carrying heavy burdens was what humans did best. Set course for Earth, he ordered. Aye, sir, replied Da-Un. Estimated travel time, 3 weeks. Good. That gives us time to figure out what we tell them when we get home. The truth? Suggested Wu Jin. The truth, agreed Hyun-woo. That humanity just became responsible for keeping the galaxy safe from itself. No pressure, said Tae-hyun. No pressure at all, replied Hyun-woo. Just the future of galactic civilization resting on our shoulders. So, said Jun-ho, a typical Tuesday for humans. Despite everything, Commander Hyun-woo smiled. His crew was right. Impossible challenges were just another day at the office for humanity. And that, more than anything else, was why they had earned their place as the galaxy's new Omega-tier species. The Soul's Vengeance jumped into hyperspace, carrying the news that would change everything. Behind them, Nexus Prime continued its eternal volcanic dance, home to the Deathworld Council that now looked to humanity for leadership. Ahead of them lay Earth, and the beginning of humanity's new role as the galaxy's ultimate survivors. The war was over. The real work was just beginning.